Hi, my name is Maurice Ekbong. The existential threats that have faced Nigeria since independence are the country's biggest opportunities. Today, Nigeria is acclaimed to be the poverty capital of the world. And in the 2019 Global Hunger Index rankings, Nigeria polled 93 out of 117 countries with a score of 27.9%, leaving the hunger level in the country as critical. We must begin to discuss at a policy level the mechanics that will engineer the country out of the quagmire that it is currently in. In my last video, I raised the proposition that Nigeria can easily lift 30 million people out of poverty in this decade by systematically exploiting the opportunities in the agriculture value chain. Now, this is very consistent with the Sustainable Development Goal of ending poverty by 2030 and ending hunger by 2030. Now, what can each state of the federation begin to do? What can each region in the country begin to do to lift its masses out of poverty and hunger into the opportunities, the many opportunities that disguise currently as threats? Because 87% of poverty in Nigeria resides currently in the north, I'll begin by discussing at a very high level what I believe are some of the opportunities that we can begin to exploit as a country and as people who are partners with our brothers and sisters in the north. What can we begin to do? So at a very high level, I would mention some areas that I believe are low-hanging fruits for us as a country to lift ourselves by the bootstraps and position us where we rightly belong as the leader of the black people on earth and one of the most blessed nations literally on the planet, in spite of the current challenges we face. So today, I would look at one thing one area that I believe the North has an advantage in producing. One agricultural area, because of the peculiar agroclimatic conditions that are suitable to its development. Now, it is really sad that there's been for many years this constant clash and contention between headers who are mostly from northern Nigeria and farmers across the country, both north and south, where cattle headers are constantly moving and reportedly destroying crops and other means of livelihood that farmers across the country have. But I contend that it need not be so. Farmers and headers are in the same boat. And if we can look at the relationship as symbiotic, one depending on the other, which is the way nature operates, then we would see the advantages of collaborating. Now, I'll be speaking about the opportunities that Nigeria, and especially northern Nigeria, can harness from cattle heading. The World Cattle Inventory said that as of 2017, the world had about 998 million heads of cattle. Interestingly, only 20 million of these are in Nigeria, meaning that Nigeria is not even ranked amongst the top 10 producers of cattle in the world, in spite of the huge opportunities that there are in the sector. Countries like Brazil, India, China, US, even Ethiopia in Africa, and Argentina are way ahead of Nigeria in terms of the number of cattle that they have in the country. Of course, Uruguay by far has the highest per capita of cattle heads in the world, meaning for Uruguay, there are more cattle in the country than there are people. So you have a per capita of 3.44 cattle in Uruguay. And then countries like New Zealand, Argentina, Australia, and Brazil also have more cattle than their people. So what's the opportunity for Nigeria here? We are not producing enough milk and meat for ourselves, obviously, in spite of the fact that we can produce more than enough and even be the leading exporters of beef, of milk, of hides and skin, of organic fertilizers from the dung of the cattle. So I propose that within the next 10 to 15 years, if Nigeria can raise the number of cattle in the country from its current level of 20 plus million to match what Uruguay is producing, which is 3.4 per capita, if we match Uruguay, we would have about 680 million heads of cattle in Nigeria, easily making us the biggest producers of cattle, the biggest producers of hides and skin, the biggest producers of organic manure from cattle dung, the biggest producers of beef, the biggest producers of milk in the world. Of course, by my own proposition, if we have 100,000 cattle per ranch, we can develop 6,800 cattle ranches across northern Nigeria. We're housing 680 million heads of cattle. Of course, this would easily attract investments of over $1 trillion. And you can imagine the impact that would have on the socio-economic conditions of northern Nigeria. Easily, over 10 million people will be employed by that entire value chain. And Nigeria will become, Nigeria's GDP would significantly be impacted by that. Hunger levels would come down drastically. Poverty would be almost eliminated if we take just this cattle sector alone and systematically develop its value chain. So I'll be talking quite a bit along these lines, but I believe that as Nigeria, one thing we can look at is how we can develop the value chain that the cattle opportunity presents us, and make farmers and headers finally come to see the interrelationships that the interdependencies in their relationship. So ultimately, we will not have contention, but collaboration. Northern Nigeria can easily do this. And in the position papers that I would be presenting in the future, we would drill down to the dynamics of how this can be accomplished. Thank you very much, and see you in the next video.